All right. Let's call this meeting of the Logan County Board of Commissioners to order, please. And please rise for the prayer and flag salute. And Representative Colin Gould will lead us in prayer.
Please bow your heads with me. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we're gathered here today. We ask that you bless this meeting. We ask that you give us wisdom and discernment. We ask that you bless the leaders of our county. And we ask for your continued presence in this county, Lord. We ask that you just watch over us and give us good decision-making abilities today and in the future to come. We ask all these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome all of you to the board meeting.
I've got this one, we got another one.
You want to wait for 6? Any citizens desiring to be hired is item number 4, and we have a few of them. I could divert this to item 6, or we can do it now. Church. Chuck Hecken. Right.
Do you understand there, or is it right here?
Whichever you're comfortable with.
Hey, I'm here about the Delta transmission line and the Cimarron link. I have not signed an agreement on it, but I know of, I believe in Logan County right now, 31 memorandums of easements for this project, the Cimarron link, have been filed of record. And according to some documentation I have, this path is going to be a variable path in width of 4 to 18 miles wide, and then it's going to be 645 miles long. It's my understanding that this was hit in the Inflation Reduction Act. And I didn't know about it until Friday, and I work at the abstract company. But I'm not an indexer, so I wouldn't have known about the documents going through. But it seems to me I would have known about it. But I just want to make it plain that I do not want this, because it sounds like they're going to be using eminent domain on quite a bit of land. And my land, I've got 220 acres. And also I own the minerals underneath it. And it's my understanding that the path of this thing, according to the owner representatives that was at the Camp Joy meeting this weekend, that green energy and oil and gas do not peacefully coexist along the same path. So that would mean I could be in danger of getting my minerals, money for my minerals, and I have not for it. That's all I'd like to say.
Thank you.
Could I say something on
Well, this is normally not the time for us to do dialogue, but if you need to.
Well, let me just say this, that if you've not signed yet an agreement for them to be able to come on your property and do a survey of where they might do their eminent domain path, they will sue you if that's the case. Now, they will not sue you for money. They're just going to sue for the right to do that. I went to Enid a week ago Monday night, and there was a gentleman up there that had refused to sign it, and he had hired an attorney. And that's how they hope to break it, is to hire an attorney. And they've got very deep pockets and things, but there's, like I say, so that's just that information for you.
We have another citizen desiring to be heard, Cecilia Cole.
So I have some property that was my family's property. We had it in our family for over 100 years, and I'm the trustee of that property, and I agree with everything he just said. Don't want it, don't need it. My family's worked hard on that property for all those years, and I just don't agree it. I'm kind of just now getting educated on the whole thing. but it doesn't sound good to me. It sounds like it's a health hazard, a terrible hazard for our land. If they, they say that the wind turbines will slough off chemicals that will ruin the land and you'll never be able to use it for anything. To live on, to grow on, to have cattle on, all of that. So I just wanted to voice my opinion. Whatever you can do to help us would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen desiring to be heard? All right. Item number 5 is consideration possible action on minutes of November 15th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second. All in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item 6, discussion with Sandra Tregwick regarding the proposed NI-ETC transmission lines in Logan County. Welcome.
Thank you. Would you like me to set up here?
However you feel comfortable.
And how do I connect to your?
HDMI?
Yes. Thank you all for having me. This usually takes me about 40 minutes, but I'm going to try to keep it to 20, so I'm going to talk fast. That is the paper version. So you connect to this, and can I use this?
Yes.
Please, make yourself at home.
All right. Another paper version?
If you have a copy, and I can put with the minutes, that's great.
Thank you.
Yes.
We will have a little discussion on item 8. That'll probably answer some of yours and her question about what we feel. We're not ignoring it.
Okay,
Where is the H?
That-
There's
yeah.
got one already. Thank you. I brought mine just in case. All right, well, I am Sandra Trewick, and some of you might know me as the donkey milk lady.
You don't see that you're not alive.
Can y'all see that? Where do you want me to face? Do you face you?
You're fine.
Okay. So we got started in this whole political thing. First, preface this with our daughter got an autoimmune disease called PANDAS, pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorder associated with strep throat. That's how I got known as the donkey milk lady. When that happened, the doctors didn't have answers for us. Overnight, she changed into a different child. Her immune system attacked her brain. They said antibiotics every day till she's 18 or 21, or IVIG, which cost $10,000, was their best guess. We did a lot of praying and a lot of crying, and the Lord led us to donkey milk. We moved out to the country. We eliminated as many toxins as we could. We went out one day and we smelled a horrific smell. That smell was humaner. Y'all familiar with that? Also known as biosolids. Our state just tried to put in legislation that would exempt the cities and the companies who dump this on farmers from all liability. They're calling some of these areas, can't see a farm on them anymore. You can't use them for anything, beef, milk, anything. They're saying you can use them to put on solar farms. Are you all doing that here yet?
No.
I strongly recommend you put in a moratorium right now. Do not let them do this to your farmers and your land. They're telling them it's safe, and meanwhile, they're putting in legislation to exempt them from liability. Congress just proposed a $500 million bailout for farms contaminated with PFAS from sewage sludge in the United States. That sounds like a lot of money, but they're estimated between 2 and 20 million acres contaminated with PFAS. These are forever chemicals known to be in sewage sludge or humaner from biosolids. That $500 million, if it's 20 million acres, gives you $25 an acre. If it's 2 million acres, that's $250 an acre. That's after the government takes their cut for coming out and condemning your land. The EPA just put in a water rule. Are you all familiar with this water rule? This is really important.
No.
This is from Biden's PFAS roadmap, claiming to help rural and disadvantaged communities. In reality, this rule excludes rural communities. I dug and dug and dug, because there is money for the cities to put in filtration systems. If they get their money in and their applications in, Oklahoma City and Tulsa, the big cities, they know all about this, and they're already all over it. Every small town I've talked to has no idea this is coming. I finally found $50 million of their billions of dollars to bail out cities that are contaminated in their water systems. That $50 million said, this money does not allow the EPA to authorize grants to states to address contaminants in communities with individual private wells unless the purpose of the activity is determining whether the individual private well should be connected to an existing public water system or create a new public water system. The authority does not provide funding to remediate contaminated aquifers, including treatment of individual wells that do not impact public water systems. How does this matter if you're a farmer? We depend on wells. I water my animals with wells. We have one of the only donkey dairies in the United States. They're shutting down dairy farms across the nation, beef, dairy, and vegetables, because the water they're using is contaminated with PFAS. They just excluded all of us. I don't know about you all, but I don't want to eat bugs. Now, industrial wind turbines. We've been fighting Humaner here. We took multiple pieces of legislation up to the Capitol on the Humaner deal. We got it stopped in our town of Guthrie. They did put a ban on it in city limits. I would suggest Guthrie should do that as well, and you all need to put a ban on it in the county. My parents called from Kansas. They said they're going to put wind turbines all around us. My daughter started crying because they knew there's more than just blinking lights to this. They feel sick anytime they get near them. So I've already been researching this PFAS contamination issue with Humaner. I did a little research. Turns out, you know what the coating of those blades are made of? PFAS. You know why they end up in landfills? Because they start to degrade. In Europe, they already did a study on the BPA that's in these blades. A wind turbine, the blades going round and round and round, starts to degrade. It's called leading edge erosion. That erosion ends up in your fields, ends up in your water. You know how much the EPA is saying condemns your water? 4 parts per trillion of this PFAS contaminant. 4 parts per trillion is about the equivalent of 4 grains of sand in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. Doesn't matter if we think that's safe or not, or we say I want to drink my water anyway, that's the amount they can come and take your water. So along with the wind turbines, shadow flicker, our community, I got to know a lot of people with autism and other health problems. Shadow flicker is one of these giant wind turbines, and now they're proposing them over 700 feet tall. Devon Tower is 844 feet tall, for perspective. They're proposing those. Oh, in Logan County, you already have some. I looked that up. They're expanding and expanding and expanding. I believe that was phase 1 for Logan County. Put a moratorium on them right now. Microplastics, blade throw, ice throw, BPA, eagle, bird, and bat deaths, and the health effects. I have a friend who has a daughter with a heart condition. Her pediatrician, who is an MD, said you cannot live within 5 miles of these. Their family owns land with wind turbines around it. She can't live there. Whose property rights matter? Because these legislators up here say, oh, it's property rights, it's property rights. They can dump Humaner, it's their property rights. They can put up wind turbines, it's their property rights. Your property rights don't matter. Here's a little illustration, and I found this on NIH.gov. In the energy sector, PFAS are known to be employed in solar collectors and photovoltaic cells, and in lithium-ion vanadium redox and zinc batteries. In addition, fluoropolymers are also used to coat the blades of windmills. That's from a .gov document. These wind turbine companies will all say I am crazy and that I'm lying. Point this out to them. That's the leading edge, and that's over time how it degrades from this .gov document. Industrial solar also uses PFAS. I could go into that. There's no notice given. They could be planting thousands of acres of solar fields in your district right now, and you don't know about it until they start digging it up. They don't have to get any notice to you all either, by law. Green hydrogen. Now, I'm going fast because I don't have as much time as I need to. Green hydrogen, this was a bill that was passed. Only Representative Rick West and Representative Tom Gann voted no. Now, one of the things these legislators will tell you is, I can't single out your district just to protect you. They did it right here. In Washington County, Oklahoma, without becoming a public utility, provided further, any city or town within a county having a population of over 500,000, or any county having a population of over 500,000, according to the 1970 federal census, goes on to say, blah, 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 shall have the authority to condemn all or any portion of any water supply and or distribution system, blah, 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 in the production of green hydrogen. Now, one of those, y'all know what, that's Washington County, Oklahoma County, and Tulsa County. So you guys lucked out on this one. I didn't. I'm in Oklahoma County. That means they can condemn my water. Why would they want to condemn our water? Y'all familiar with how they make, one of the ways they make hydrogen? H2O. They take the hydrogen from the water. So the state needs more green wind and green solar, so they get more money that way, to produce green hydrogen. Green hydrogen produces CO2. One ton of hydrogen produces 9 tons of CO2. CO2 is the stuff they're saying is going to kill us all. So why are we producing it? Because then you get more money if you capture it, pipe it underground under high pressure, and sequester it under Oklahoma. And they don't have to tell you. But look up the law, because currently, and they said this might be a problem. It might be a problem if you all figure out it's a problem. Because current law in Oklahoma, you, the surface owner, own your pore space, P-O-R-E. That's the space in between the minerals. That's the space in between the rocks. And they're going to shove this gas under you and not tell you about it and not tell you your rights and not tell you the law so you don't push back. Because you know what happens when it touches water? It turns to carbonic acid, degrades rock and degrades the water, so then they can condemn it and take it from you. I'm on the advisory board of the Free Soil Foundation, which is multiple states and congressmen and senators that are fighting back against CO2 pipelines. They have a 3-mile kill radius. If they have a leak, the CO2 displaces the oxygen. You and all your animals could suffocate and die. And they don't have to tell you all or your emergency crews that this is even happening. We already have CO2 pipelines here in the state. After I found this little Washington County bill, I happened to look it up. High Plains Resources to start hydrogen testing in Washington County next month. They singled them out because they knew it was coming. Then I did a little more digging. This is from oklahoma.gov. This is for 2050, the CO2 pipelines and sequestration planned for our state. One of those looks like it's going right about through my farm. Governor Kevin Stitt signed SB 200, starting the process for Oklahoma delegation of carbon sequestration from the EPA. This is like with Huminer. We're one of 13 states that somehow exempted ourselves from the EPA's oversight. We said, oh no, we can handle this, we can do it better. Better? We see liquid crap on fields regularly. That's way less than what the EPA requires. I'm not for government oversight, but when our state isn't protecting us, somebody has to. And that's where you all come in.
Is that a failure of the DEQ?
Oh, yeah, I've called the DEQ and they said, oh, there's nothing we can do about it. They just signed the permits. And by the way, we had legislators using this. Grant Green and Kevin Wallace. Every bill we took to the Capitol, they killed it, and they would not touch it. Kevin Wallace is no longer up there. Whoops. Largest carbon capture plant opened in Oklahoma. How many of you know about this? It's in Osage and Kay counties. Direct air capture. They're taking it from Kansas from an ethanol plant and bringing it here and pumping it underground. Now, this is not confirmed. I had someone who knows people there. They said a woman already died in her home. They're saying she was just old. The people there are scared. They're buying up a little town. Most of the people are getting their houses bought up. Webb City, tiny little town. They said they didn't properly cap the oil wells. They just cut them off about 9 feet underground, and the stuff is seeping up from under the ground.
Let me ask you, maybe you don't know.
Yeah.
Whose property is that on?
I have no idea. Probably somebody making a lot of money.
Well, our Attorney General's from there.
Good point. Very good point. I would reach out to him. The largest lithium plant in the United States is planned for Oklahoma. A manufacturer plans to build more than $1 billion battery-grade lithium refinery plant in Muskogee. In the past, they've been are located in deserts in Argentina, Bolivia, and Chile. The ponds have individual areas of 60 kilometers or more, are filled with lithium-rich brine pumped from underground. That brine is concentrated by evaporation, then treated to purge it, and the lithium is made into lithium carbonate.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I've heard about this brine where you can extract lithium from brine. Is there any geological surveys that show that in this path there is brine water that has the lithium in it?
So they just found one of the largest deposits right under Arkansas.
That's part of that.
Coincidentally,
Okay,
very close.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So all this is related, and I'm going to show you this at the end. Crypto mining, AI, and data mining. Oklahoma, May 15th, 2024. Oklahoma's new crypto law protects miners and sets blockchain legal framework. This bill legitimizes asset mining in residential zones under local noise ordinances. If you don't have noise ordinances in place, you have no protection. Your neighbor can put in data mining, crypto mining. Look up what's happening in areas where they're doing this. We're living in a nightmare. The noise is driving people crazy. Their dogs are losing all their hair. They're having heart problems. Most rural areas have no zoning. We don't have any noise regulations. They can put one of these right next to you. And I don't know what your noise regulations are here in Guthrie, but they could put one right in a residential area as long as it's under the regulations.
You know, we don't speak for Guthrie.
Right, I understand that. I'm letting everybody know so they can go to their city council. So, Stillwater and Muskogee, they're already planning these there. This is a quote from Zhang, one of the owners. When the residents really need the energy, we'll stop the operation and get the energy back to the residential grid. That's nice of them, isn't it? So one of those crypto and data mining centers uses as much power as the city of Edmond. Okay? This is not about saving the world. Now I'm going to go into this federal transmission line corridor. Were any of you on the call with multi-states and multi-county commissioners with Margaret Byfield?
No, I was.
Okay, I recorded that meeting. It wasn't recorded. I recorded it. I will try to airdrop it to you all so you can listen to that. I cannot go into everything that was said at that meeting. They are with American Stewards for Liberty. Margaret Byfield, they talked about how the local can coordinate, and it was multiple commissioners. You can coordinate. It's a process called coordination. It's a legal process you all can push back. There was a project for a superhighway to go from the Gulf all the way to Canada, a quarter mile wide. Do you know what stopped that? The process of coordination, 5 mayors, 5 small towns.
Senator Brogdon.
And Senator Randy Brogdon had a lot to do with it too.
There you go. You guys need to get involved in this from this coordination effort to stop this, because this is a federal land grab.
NAFTA Superhighway.
Yes, the NAFTA superhighway. So I will try to download that information to you all so you can watch it on your own time and hopefully get connected with them and start putting your foot down against this. These are 10 federal transmission line corridors. The one through Oklahoma, the Delta Plains, is between 4 and 18 miles wide. I was screaming about this back in June when there was still time for open public comment. I would like to know why our federal congressmen didn't alert us. Our state ones are saying they didn't know. Why did I figure it out and they didn't? The proposed federal transmission line corridor takes up to 103 million acres across the United States. That's 5% of U.S. land. The Delta Plains is 7.5 million acres. Plains Southwest, which you can see there, the panhandle, is 1.8 to 35.9 million acres. If you scan that code right there, there's a great YouTube that someone did. It takes about 40 minutes. I'd like to point out what they're going to say is it's not really going to be 18 miles wide. This is just their study area. Why on the West Coast is it a tiny little line about the actual size of a transmission line corridor? Because they have just as many houses, more probably, I'm sure. They have just as many environmental things to go around. So why did they draw a big old swath through the Midwest? Because we're their flyover states. I did a little graphic here to try to show all of this. It doesn't include everything that I found out since then. But the gist of it is, our farms and ranches are up for grabs. They will need these transmission lines in order to take the energy from the solar farms and the wind turbines and these battery storage and the AI across our state. These data centers, it's for ESG, environmental social governance. If they put all of our money in digital assets, we lose all our freedom. If they don't like what I say, they shut down my bank account. They shut down my power, and they shut down our state. We have to stand up now as citizens. I'm just a citizen. We need every single one of your voices. Our Facebook page is Save Oklahoma Farms and Ranches. I'm so glad you guys gave me the opportunity to speak today. I could go on for hours about each one of these topics. I want to give you all a minute. Oh, one more thing. I have spoken to multiple county commissioners across the state, and I really hope that I can count on you all to stand. Because if one county would stand up against this, one, we could stop this. It would be a domino effect. Most of these county commissioners think it's their job to pave and gravel roads. Our job as the local government, your job, is to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the people. You have more power than they're letting you know. And your DA, bless her or him, will probably tell you you can't do anything about this. Get your own lawyers. Figure out a way to stop this. I forgot to tell you, our state law on wind turbines is 1.5 miles to public schools. There's that protection in there. Not to brick and mortar
Is that
public
state law?
schools.
Is that state law?
Yes, state law. Not to brick and mortar public schools, to public schools. EPIC is a virtual public school taking public school dollars. A lot of homeschoolers are now taking public school dollars. Why are they discriminating against us in our homes? Why do we not get a 1.5 mile setback? They'll tell you it has something to do with internet. No. The blade throw and ice throw can go through your roof and kill you in your home. And there's documentation of how far these things throw debris. Seizures, kids are having seizures. I know one in Kansas, they stood up and they said, my kid has seizures, and the shadow flicker causes seizures. The company told them to keep her in the basement. That's their solution. Use the law against them. 1.5 mile setbacks. And what I found, and I could be wrong, is it's the DA's job to enforce those setbacks to all public schools. So if these public schools, including EPIC, and I believe there's 7 other virtual public schools, if they're taking public school dollars, they have to abide by all the rules, and we have to protect them. That's our job, right? The DA, if that's their job, and I know I'm a homeschooler, nobody wants to be tracked and traced. Guess what? I've got my phone with me right now. They know where I am. They know I homeschool my kids anyway. So use the law against them. If that means zoning, and I know that's a dirty word, nobody wants zoning, but I can tell you what's happening. These battery storage, lithium mines, all of this stuff, if we had zoning in place, just limited industrial zoning, we could say no.
If this board was put that to a vote of the people with good intentions,
I
the
understand.
next board behind us would change it,
Right.
and it
Could.
could change it.
Yeah.
And it would start telling people what plants you can grow on your property.
Well, and you would have your own planning and zoning board that's volunteers from the community. It's not just you guys making up the rules. So in Kansas, my community, my parents' community, they got industrial wind and industrial solar banned. And that's true. As soon as they bring it, and I can provide all those documents for you, I can provide all the regulations they put in place. They allow, I think, a 10-acre development of solar, private. But this is all just subsidized by the government. It doesn't even make sense without it. I can get everything for you in order to put that in place here, and it's just common sense, protect the people.
I will tell you this, shortly after I moved up here 40-some years ago, we had a county planning commission, which was basically a zoning. And shortly after I moved here, we voted that out of existence. And I was one that aggressively went after voting it out of existence. Most of the people that have moved to Logan County love their freedom. And I don't think this will pass here
I understand that.
unless maybe they see the dangers and the risk
Right.
and whether or not you could create a type of regulations through zoning that would still allow a lot of freedom
Right.
and prevent
just-
some of the bad stuff.
Yes, just industrial, because we have to protect our farms and ranches. And there was currently a letter from the Attorney General because Oklahoma Farm Bureau was going around telling people, no zoning, no zoning, no zoning. The Attorney General said agriculture is not included in zoning and would not affect agricultural land.
Is this our current AG?
Yes, and there is a letter, and they sent it to the Craig County group that was trying to put in limited industrial zoning because they're planting wind turbines there. Lakeview Fallout, we're finding more and more. I search constantly to try and see which one's the next county they're coming after.
Let me ask the two representatives this. I know that either one of the representatives can request an AG opinion. Do you know if commissioners can request one?
The DA can.
The DA can? Okay,
Yeah, I don't have an answer.
The board cannot. You have to go
Yeah.
through the DA.
okay.
There you go.
I perused last Thursday, most of the morning, so 5 hours, the Oklahoma statutes. And I was looking at this corridor. I couldn't find one thing in there that gave this board the power to shut it down. They don't even ask this board what they're going to do. I also looked on the federal website and you can't find a contact. Because I wanted that person to come and be
Absolutely.
here as well, because I want to hear both sides of it. I'm against all of this stuff.
Right.
I think without government, there is no government money. Without federal subsidizing with people's money, there wouldn't be one of these in existence.
Right. So that's where the process of coordination comes in, and there were even a few counties in Oklahoma that were on that phone call, and I'll try to download that call to one of your phones so you can share it. I'm not super tech savvy.
I'm less than that.
All right, so somebody in the room should be able to help us figure that out. So you can get involved in that coordination process, which is how they stop that superhighway. And we need your help. I know I throw everybody under the bus, but I'm really ticked off that this is happening in our state. So I'm in Oklahoma County, we're zoned. I've always been jealous of you all that don't have zoning, and now I'm like, I don't know how else to stop this. I mean, our rural communities are sitting ducks. And yeah, maybe we put it in for the next 2 years and we put a sunset on the zoning and we say in 2 years this is over, because if we pull the federal funding from this, then it's done.
Yeah.
So maybe we put zoning sunset 2 years, this is all over then, and you can build your outhouse in your front yard, we don't care. But we've got to get creative and we've got to take back our power, because they're taking everything we love from us. And we're not getting notified.
I have a question. Do you have a copy of the resolution that Payne County passed on this?
I don't.
It's on our agenda.
We're
Yeah.
about to
It's
pass-
on our
We're about to
agenda.
vote on it.
Okay, all right, sorry.
So, yeah, absolutely, put in resolutions against all this stuff. One other thing I would ask, send a letter to all of your farmers and ranchers, because I have seen too many humor trucks heading out to this area. They are taking it all the way out to Lincoln County from Oklahoma City.
Well, now, on State Highway 74, right across the street, or the road and a highway and a mile down, they've now built a nice big addition. But they used to have dump trucks that would go from the sewage plant over there and dump, and the whole hillside would turn black. And of course, now there's homes on that.
Right. Yeah. So I know you have limited power to stop all of this, but I have been saying this for years. If the farmers say no, this ends. The farmers and landowners could stop this whole agenda. Stop taking the money, stop taking the free crap, stop taking these leases, and they offer a lot of money. Doesn't mean you're gonna get it, but they offer it.
Yeah.
Every single one of them that says yes to this is enslaving their grandchildren to this agenda. And that may sound crazy. Go ahead and call me a conspiracy theorist. But I don't want to eat bugs. I like steak and we need hay. Oh, one more thing. The ranchers, and the word is out, they will not lease pasture for their cattle near wind turbines because their cows are not breeding back or they're losing their babies. There's also stray voltage that comes off of these things. We could put in legislation with a 1.5 mile setback to every residence in the state.
Just to add to that, from the meeting I learned at Camp Joy that the fiberglass also,
Yeah.
as it degrades over time, the fibers get in the field.
Right.
And when they get in the field, the cow, of course, doesn't know the fiber from the grass, and they
Yeah.
eat the fibers in the grass. And then what happens is, according to the people at the meeting that were holding it, that farmers have had to destroy their herds. They get contaminated by these fibers.
Yeah, and the hay, we won't buy hay from anyone that uses humider, and we won't buy hay from anyone that has wind turbines, because I'm not gonna risk my herd of critically endangered American mammoth donkeys on the chance that somebody else is making bank on their lease.
You know Minnie Patterson?
Yes, she's
I'm going to
wonderful.
try to schedule her here
That'd be
for
great.
the 15th.
Yes,
And she can do a really good presentation on
Absolutely.
the war against farmers
Yeah,
and some of
absolutely.
these things you're talking
So-
about.
Are you done with your presentation? Are the slides done?
yes.
I just was gonna say we could turn the lights on for
Yes,
the
Okay.
discussion.
sorry. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
all.
yeah, thank you. So,
Turn them off.
yeah, we like it in the dark. Legislatively, I believe there's some stuff happening on the state level. Representative Jim Shaw just replaced Kevin Wallace, and
Yes.
he's amazing. He's ran on a lot of this stuff. We have more and more legislators who are suddenly signing up to help with this, which is great. I would put pressure on them at the state level and the federal level. I'm sorry I haven't introduced you all. Did I miss that? So if I offended anyone, I apologize, but my husband says if you know me long enough, I will offend you. So I just tell it like I see it, and this is what I see happening in our state. So I'm just a citizen, and I'm a landowner, and I'm a mom, and I want my kids to have a future, and I want them to have the freedom to enjoy our beautiful state. And there's been moments when I've said, let's move to the Ozarks, and then I look at them like, oof, they're screwed too. So we gotta stand and fight all of this.
I might mention, and very thankful, we have 2 state representatives here with us today.
Well, I didn't introduce them because I thought they might just want to be observed and not be a spotlight. I apologize if you wanted to be.
Well, thank you for being here. Everyone, thank you for being here and for caring, and thank you all for serving. I apologize if I come across a little bit strong, but when you start to dig into this and you spend as many hours, I mean, I could go on about each one of these things. But, December 2nd or 3rd, towards the Panhandle, I believe it's in Woodward, they're having a meeting with Margaret Byfield. She's in Wyoming, but she's gonna Zoom in. I don't know if they would allow you all to join in. If I can't get that whole thing that I recorded without them knowing to you all, then you should be at that call, because that will go into the process of coordination, how to fight this NIETC, they call it NITC corridor, and give you guys the tools that you need to stand up against it. So that's the 2nd or 3rd, and I hope that you all would be able to join that too. It's put on by the Oklahoma Independent Stop Roads Association.
This is for you here. We'll be considering that resolution.
Perfect, great. Well, that's all I have, unless someone else, and would you all be able to share, like legislatively, are you gonna help with this as well, on the state level?
I can certainly pledge that I will be looking into it, but I wanted to say thank you for doing this, because as somebody mentioned earlier, like 2 weeks ago, I got an email from Dan about it, and I'm like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
And so it's definitely been under or off my radar, and since people are complaining, we can pay attention, so
Yeah.
you doing this is important.
Well, thank you very much, thank you for being here.
And same with me. I have the far southwest part of Logan County, Kingfisher, Oklahoma, maybe. And where this came on my radar was during the campaign, not in my campaign, but others helped me.
Yeah.
So the same, I do think we've already heard a little bit about it, and we'll have discussions as a caucus
Yeah.
here shortly, so I'm sure it'll come up again. Yeah, I'm happy to,
Yeah, well, off
because
the
I do
record,
remember NAFTA, and I do remember getting stopped.
yeah, off the record, I have the ArcGIS
You're on
map.
camera.
Oh, whatever.
Off the record. I found a map that you can zoom in and see exactly where this is gonna go. And I'm not sharing it on social media because it was from a DA in Kansas. I don't know the exact, and unfortunately, people look at this map and they're like, I'm not in the corridor, I don't care anymore. We all need to care.
Yeah.
I can give it to you guys individually. I'm not sharing it on social. I don't know how accurate it is. I don't even know if the DOE knows how accurate it is. I don't know where exactly it came from. I got it from a DA in Kansas. But that map, when you zoom in, you see the area they're gonna take. It's really scary. And maybe they won't take it all. I hope and pray they won't. I hope this is just one of Biden's, I got a big Sharpie, you know, maybe it was just a mistake. But
No, this is
Yeah.
one tentacle
Right.
of a lot of tentacles. It's not just an 8-tentacle octopus, it's got a lot more than that.
Absolutely.
Of control of people eventually, or control of land, which in turn controls the people. And it's
Absolutely.
coming in, we have all kinds of different key words: environmental corridor, historical corridor, energy corridor.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
it's bigger than what you said here today, but whenever you really start explaining it, and I do know that some of them know about Agenda 21, Agenda 3030,
Yeah.
the New World Order,
Yeah.
but when you start explaining that to people, you can see they glaze over and they're like, he's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, all you have to do is sit back and reflect and see that he might have been crazy 30 years ago, but it's happening.
It's happening. When Tyson and them are investing heavily in insect protein, it's happening. And they are. So, you know, we're also the first to import donkey milk to the United States. I started getting really loud about this stuff, taking it up to the state legislature. All of a sudden, we had the state and the FDA at our gate telling us we couldn't advertise donkey milk anymore and wanting all the information about our imported milk. Our next shipment was seized. They held it at the FDA for 7 months, cost us over $70,000 in sales. Meanwhile, that opened the door for India and unscrupulous people to start bringing in their donkey milk, quote unquote donkey milk. It sounds like a conspiracy theory until all these things start adding up. They're trying to change the law in the state to come after our farm. That was vetoed by the governor. We brought in another bill that would allow us to continue to advertise, because if you can't advertise, you're out of business. Shane Jett sponsored that bill. It got through the Senate, the House committee, the Senate committee. Then I started speaking up in Lincoln County about the wind turbines, and they killed it and wouldn't let it be heard on the House floor.
But on this,
Maybe a powerful representative that isn't going to be there anymore, right?
Maybe so.
on this federal controlled entities,
Right.
or overreach, however you want to look at it, that's where the people need to contact your federal delegation. They're the ones that have the purse strings to this. They're the ones that get to vote whether they do this, it goes forward, or it doesn't. And we don't get that vote here.
Right.
We didn't create this monster.
Right.
We're just here trying to fight it off.
Yeah, but those coordination and those 5 mayors who helped stop that corridor, you guys have way more power than what they let you believe. One more thing. Congressman Josh Hawley from Missouri has a Protecting Farmers from the Green New Deal Act. We need our congressman to stand up and get behind that. And so far, the letters I'm hearing from Langford and et cetera, sorry, can't help you. Why aren't we standing up like Missouri? Congressman Josh Hawley. Why aren't we putting in, I mean, Oklahoma is getting ready to be hit harder than pretty much any of these other states. So, okay, I think that's all I have. Anything else?
You mentioned the kill zone, and this for the CO2 pipelines. I read up on that a little bit. These are not low pressure
No,
pipelines.
that's
These
part
are
of the
like
problem.
3,000 to 4,000 PSI.
Right.
So if
Yes.
one of those leaks, you can't smell it, you can't see it, just all the oxygen's gone, everything dies.
So Tarsha, Mississippi, they had a line going through there, and there was a seasonal flooding. I guess they weren't expecting seasonal flooding, and that line broke. And the rescue workers that went in had no idea what it was. Their vehicles all shut down because your vehicles need oxygen. They described it as a zombie apocalypse. There's other things we could do legislatively, put liens in on this, look into inverse eminent domain. This is what this is doing. Someone else's property rights shouldn't take away mine. There's lots of different legislative things we could do, as well as stray voltage. We could put in that they have to have grounding measures in for these transmission line corridors and the wind turbines, because they've proven this. Cows decrease their milk production because of the stray voltage that's coming through the earth. They say they're out there dancing. They've even had, on the western part of the state, people were reporting at night, the babies were failure to thrive. They stopped nursing because when they went to nurse, you could see the shock they were getting shocked by their mothers.
But do not put your property in a conservation easement.
No.
Do not.
No. Okay, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
Mitigation banking and how much money people can make on mitigation banking. And I wouldn't be surprised if certain people in the know are putting their property into these forever conservation. So for like every acre of solar, I believe they have to put 10 acres into conservation mitigation banking. So you're not just losing that farmland, you're losing 10 times that farmland that's going into permanent conservation, never to be used for farming again. What happens here in Oklahoma and in the Midwest affects the entire United States because we're taking out some of the most productive farming and ranch land. By these conservation easements.
Oh, the
Yes.
word sounds good. Hey, I want to make sure my property is for generations, not used. I want to conserve
Right.
it.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah.
You're destroying it.
And a lot of farmers who have signed up for a 10-year conservation, they think they're still signing a 10-year conservation. They're not reading all the fine print, and it's 100 years or forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On your map, it showed from the Panhandle over to Tulsa.
Yeah.
Does that, from what I've read, that is not the end of it?
It goes past Tulsa, it gets narrower. After Tulsa, it goes down to 4 miles wide and keeps going all the way to Arkansas.
And is that because that's going on to tribal lands?
It's tribal lands in other areas too. I think, my guess is they're gonna offload a lot of the power in Tulsa. I don't know.
Now, I do know some of those tribes are very much into this new green deal.
Yeah. So we've had tribes pledge to stand up and help us fight wind turbines and whatnot. And they are good people and they want to help. And then a little bit in, they disappear. They're getting a lot of federal money.
Yep.
I hate that. But, you know, and I mean, I've been there. When they shut down our farm, I was like, why am I standing up against this? If these people don't care, why do I care?
Yeah.
There's one over there, tribe, that has a lot of migration money that helped in what we're calling migrants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I wish every tribe would stand up, and Osage County is making them take down the wind turbines, which is great. You know, and there was a huge lawsuit. That was a big deal. That's great. You know, there's different things that we can all look at and different legislation and different things we can all be really creative. I would work on that 1.5 mile setback and, you know, all homeschoolers, every child deserves that same protection. I think there's a lawsuit there, discrimination. I mean, why are my kids not as important as the ones in public school?
That little meme that's out there right now from the TV show Landman, which I've never watched, but he explains it pretty good. And
Yeah, I've had that one sent to me multiple times. I've got it, nobody needs to send it to me. All right, well, thank you all.
We passed, shortly after I was on the board, we passed a very good resolution in opposition to Agenda 2030.
Yes.
And I was certainly intending to create one in opposition to the carbon capture pipelines. Just haven't done it yet. Maybe I can get that done by next,
That
our
would be,
meeting in the middle of next month.
that would be
I
interesting.
stayed up one night researching the United Nations websites. There's multiple names and millions of documents. And I finally found one. And I had it on my phone for years. And then whenever I did a transfer of new phones, which, you know, that's the con, get a new phone, it disappeared. But it literally, step by step, told you the life you're about to lead. This was 2013, 2011, somewhere in that neighborhood. And it's here.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to the doctor. Doctor comes to you via, and it's scary, but the document's gone, and I've tried to find it again on the UN website, cannot find it.
Yeah,
Signed off by all the major corporations in the world.
right, absolutely. And it's a huge battle, but I really do believe that the people still have power. And there are good legislators up there that our process is wrong, they don't have time to even read this legislation. So they pass it, and then later they're like, oh crud, I didn't see that part. Well, I wish we had to have every one of them pass a test, and if they didn't pass a basic competency test, they didn't get to vote on the bill. I mean, I wish we limited it to 3 pieces of legislation per legislator, and gave them all time to read all of it.
Well, that's part of the problem for them and for commissioners. you have so many irons in the fire.
Right.
There's just not enough time in the day
Yeah,
to research and read and learn about everything.
absolutely. But this is a case of what we don't know can kill us. I mean, it can literally kill us. Whether it's the humaner, which that has caused deaths as well, or CO2 pipelines. And I apologize if I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it's all out there. So, you know, we need your help.
There are conspiracy theories, and then
And
there
then
are
there's facts.
conspiracies.
Yeah, which is why I put all those, you know, this is all happening right
The
here.
conspiracy part's just the planning
Yeah.
and the coordination.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
the first time the word conspiracy's ever been used in history is in the Bible.
Right.
Right.
And many of your
Conspired.
white
Do not
collar
call it
crimes,
conspiracy, yes.
many of your white collar criminals that go to prison are charged with conspiracy.
Yes.
And the literal meaning of the word conspiracy is when two or more plot in secret for an evil purpose.
Right.
And so some people could wax eloquent about ancient conspiracies and everybody would think the world of them. If you try to bring one down to the current, and a lot of people think you're a kook, but the reality is, and there are conspiracies that aren't very, you know, detrimental and some threaten everything we want, you know.
I like to use Bonnie and Clyde as an example. You know, if they hadn't died of unfortunate lead poisoning, and they had actually been brought to trial, conspiracy to commit bank robbery would have been one of the charges against them.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate all of you. And,
Thank you.
If there's anything I can do, please let me know.
Your contact information's in here?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And thank you all. Hope you turn this off. Hope you turn this off.
Yeah, thank you.
Bonnie, you have anything on that? Item 7, consideration possible action to award or reject bid 2025-13 for one used water truck for Center Fire Department tabled November 15th, 2024.
So I have an email from Ms. Rose, the president of the Sooner Board, as well as a discussion I had with Chief Ware. The bid submitted by Flash Sales did not meet the specifications. They submitted a different truck than we have been looking at, so the board asked that you reject this bid.
I'll move we reject.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 8, consideration and possible action on a resolution regarding national interest electric transmission corridors. We had a resolution here. And I believe this is the same one that Payne County passed. And I don't know if others passed it yet or not.
Creek is working on it, from what I heard 2 days ago. So,
Make a motion to approve it.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Did you want to read it?
Not that.
It's long.
I'll read the next one.
So this is the same stand that Payne had, and hopefully it's a growing effect. Hopefully it will carry a little weight. Item number 9, consideration and possible action on resolution regarding climate change.
May I read this?
Sure.
I have copies of this if anyone wants this, and in a lot of ways, this briefly touches a lot of the things that were in your resolution there. Whereas CO2 is necessary for plant growth, which produces the food we eat and the oxygen which we breathe. Whereas 95% of greenhouse gases are water vapor, with CO2 being less than 5% of greenhouse gases. Whereas we recognize the current global cycle is one of warming, and that man-made CO2 has a negligible effect upon such warming. Warming is actually good as it increases the growing season, which produces more food and makes food more affordable, especially for the poor. Whereas we understand in recent years, perhaps a majority of public opinion has been that global warming is an existential threat to mankind, which has created pressure on almost all activities in society to reduce carbon emissions. Whereas we have observed these notions have led various jurisdictions of government to suggest as well as force many in society to oppose energy produced by CO2, which has been very costly in the form of mandates and have robbed us of our liberty to choose the types of autos we drive, the type of appliances we use, and etc., which is especially hard on the poor and also has caused many societal disruptions. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Logan County, Oklahoma as follows. Number one, the board is optimistic about the outcome of the general elections of 2024 and hope the important cabinet and lesser level appointments will understand sound science about the value of producing more CO2 and the exceeding harm done by trying to abandon hydrocarbon-produced energy in favor of energy produced by unreliable sources such as solar and wind. Number two, the board further calls upon President Trump and our congressional delegation to reject the false narrative of the sky is falling climate change crowd, which wants to reduce or eliminate CO2 produced energy based upon junk science. We further urge these important authorities to set a path to promote the production of energy through coal, oil, natural gas, hydro, and nuclear energy. We urge the cessation of all federal subsidies for the production of wind and solar energy. Number three, the board further calls upon the governor, legislators, members of Oklahoma's Corporation Commission, and leaders of industry, especially in the petroleum industry, to abandon the detrimental agenda of the climate change radicals in Oklahoma as well as the rest of the states, and to abandon the notion that we need carbon capture pipelines and energy credits. Number four, the board urges leaders in the state of Oklahoma to examine the research being done by Abilene Christian University regarding molten salt reactors to produce nuclear energy. These modular reactors are small and need only a third of an acre to produce as much electricity as can be produced by 130 square miles of wind turbines. They are exceedingly safe, don't need water, and use recycled nuclear fuel. Their cost would be minuscule compared to traditional reactors, which would allow them to be built close to cities or high-usage data centers, which require large amounts of electricity. Building perhaps 10 to 15 of these in key locations would greatly reduce the amount of transmission lines which require large swaths of land for their construction.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 I signed it already.
Okay.
I anticipated. I would look at Utah on the brine. You know, a lot of our Salt Lake City area, and they have to be brine mining now. If there's any minerals, and we know that area of the United States has plenty of minerals. Item 10 is considered, and no one has to stay here. You're welcome to come and go as you want. Item 10 is consideration of possible action on a resolution approving interlocal cooperative agreement with Circuit Engineering District 5 and designation of county representatives to the CED board. I think we're trying to get back on, I think we got written up by the state auditor for not having, everyone has this in, but they don't have one signed by the board itself. And so everybody gets this in and the board can sign it.
I'll make the motion that we approve and appoint Mark Shirkin as our
I'll second that.
And that might change in a month, but
Can I point out that the resolution actually has it set up for the main, but then the alternate and the second alternate. So would you accept the first alternate?
I'll do the alternate.
And then the second alternate, we will leave blank until after the first of the year, you all could readdress if necessary.
you okay with that?
Yeah, and I'd just like to say something that I've been the alternate to several of the organizations that we go to meetings on. And folks, we are very fortunate to have Mark there. in that position. He knows his stuff very well. He's a very excellent communicator. He's been respected very much by the other people, and we're very fortunate to have him. I've had to fill in for him just 2 or 3 times when he couldn't be there for a variety of reasons, but he's super at this. So.
Thank you, Charlie.
I'll vote aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 11, consideration possible action to acknowledge receipt of state auditor inspector's annual statutory report of the treasurer.
I emailed this out.
I might say publicly that they found nothing, everything is good. She's doing a good job.
I'll make a motion we acknowledge and receive it.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Doesn't say. Item 12, consideration possible action on ingress and egress agreement with Tyler Paul for removing trees in right-of-way in 615 north and 1 east.
Is this yours or his?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This
I'll
is,
move with approve.
this is yours.
Mine?
14700 East Seward Road.
You still want to do it?
Yeah, sure do.
I'll second.
Get out there and get those trees going.
That road foreman of mine did this without me knowing it, so.
You moved to approve?
Yeah.
Charlie, did I say the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 13, consideration possible action on detention transportation claim for October 2024 in the amount of $260.85.
Make a motion we acknowledge and receive it.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item
I actually have nothing for items 14 and 15.
Item 16 is consideration possible action on the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are routine in nature and may be adopted, approved, and accepted with a single action. These things include approval of payroll claims for the second installment of November, transfer of appropriations within various accounts, approve blanket purchase orders to various vendors, claim to the state election board salaries and expenses, and allocation of the alcohol beverage tax. And if we see something we don't like in these, we'll kick them out individually. But this is the every meeting stuff. We've already had a copy of it sent to us, or sent them in ourselves.
Let me know when you see pages. He's on vacation. Everybody came in on his vacation.
I'm just a citizen today.
You know, we probably ought to give him a bonus of 25 cents.
Thank you for coming very much.
Thank you for the invitation.
If anyone would like copies of this resolution that I read, you're welcome to them. They're up here.
Thank you. Well, you know how to clear a room.
Have a good day.
That'd be quiet.
Verification. Do you think?
We need to sit up on that side of the room all the time.
Monty would love it.
I would.
Monty is here. Just can't see him.
I like that hole right
Yeah.
there.
He will be returning to his designated spot on Monday.
I think we might just switch ends there.
Transfers, Mark, this is to Cassidy and work together to set up your own page. So I need you here and here and the board here.
That's something new.
Well, a couple of years ago, when they went to the chartered accounts and started trying to work things. Blankets. Alcoholic beverage tax.
The citizens of Logan County has drank $22,020.85 worth of alcohol tax.
Always said you can't drink the water.
Very late. No, we're gonna drink in the bottom. See how much you get, see the valve. See how much you get, see the valve.
As long as Meridian gets their cut.
Yeah.
$52.
Let's see, Meridian got $20.36.
I must say, on that particular tax, I did not support my local government on it. I didn't buy anything.
Me neither.
Alcoholic drinks, so.
Thought about out of county. Mine out of county.
Yeah.
That sheriff knows that.
No, that was him. That was the Hagen's sidekick. That was-
I
I was
move
just
to approve the
projecting.
consent agenda.
Baptist
I
church
second.
like always been-
All in favor?
Never gets seen in the legislature.
Item 17 is consideration and possible action on claims for payment for November of 2022.
I think we ought to pay all of our claims. I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's a record right there. The board has to see any of them that had an error, and there's only 3 that had an error.
It's pretty small.
Yeah. Item 18, consideration possible action on purchase card payments for November 2024.
Least I've ever seen. I'm glad to announce I wasn't in this one. I make a motion we approve the claim for the P card payment.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item 19, comments, announcements, questions by the Board of Commissioners and other county officers and department heads.
Sean?
Sean, you have anything?
We've just been busy. We've got some new radios in that we're going through a very painful process on the software, getting them programmed to enhance emergency management response across multi-counties across the state. Been working closely with the state. on the WinNet system. I'm getting some new upgrades on that soon. We don't have a date planned yet, but the state will be coming in and doing a mass reprogramming on all the fire departments on their systems and getting them back up, updated with different channels for communications across our when we do task force responses and stuff like that, especially when we have the big fire we had at Cimarron Bend, had other units come in, and that should enhance our communications across the level there. So, anything else?
Do we think we're gonna get a disaster declaration?
Haven't heard anything. Last I heard, they were still out with FEMA and Oklahoma County surveying and stuff, so.
Maybe we will. Sure.
Well, been, knock on wood, pretty uneventful. I'll take it.
How's the jail population right now?
About 144, 145. We still got about 55 spots available if you know anybody that's looking for
No,
one.
I'm not looking to spend time.
Hey, yeah, one of the churches is bringing in Thanksgiving dinner for all the inmates. Hershey Hammond's church is, so it's always a good meal for those guys that are a little unfortunate to be where they're at, but
Yeah.
good meal. We appreciate it.
That's good. Good deal.
Monty?
No, just, I thought the employee appreciation dinner went really well, and I think my guys really appreciated it. And I certainly appreciate all the stuff they do for me.
I had positive feedback.
Commissioner and,
Well, I started September of '82, I'll let you do the math.
okay.
A couple of days. I left for a while and come back.
42 years?
Charlie, you have any comment? Well, I'm glad that the people came, and I'm willing, for my part, is to stand against whatever I have been told my entire career, that if the law doesn't say you can, you can't. And so I've been looking for cans, and
Under the Dillon rule that Oklahoma operates under, unless it's specifically authorized, we cannot.
I do appreciate the legislators showing up.
Absolutely. I'm curious, though, speaking of that, the majority, or I guess really from looking at that map, all of this would fall in Frank Lucas's district, and with his position on the agriculture committees and that, where is he falling into what that does to his farmers in the state?
I'm very seriously doubting this very much about this.
Curious.
Yeah. Chris, you're filming this. Can this be accessed?
Yes, as soon as I end it,
By
it'll be
anywhere in the
accessed.
state, on the Guthrie news page?
In the world.
Okay, in the world, okay.
Worldwide.
Okay.
World Wide Web.
Well, I had invited our newly elected county commissioner, corporation commissioner to this meeting today. I will make sure that he couldn't make it.
Chris will have it on Guthrie Facebook, Guthrie News Page Facebook, or GuthrieNewsPage.com.
YouTube would be the easiest place.
YouTube?
Guthrie News Page, YouTube's the easiest place to find it.
Guthrie
You did a
News
good job,
page,
Chris.
YouTube.
Yep.
You did a great job.
Thank you, sir.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second that.
All in favor?
Got the hammer, Chris.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for coming.